way, hello, Damien here. We're going to talk about Aspire. But while I'm waiting for Maddie, and because Fowler's not here, I thought I would pull up my favorite photo of David Fowler on my phone here. I'll just let that play a couple of times, get everyone really to drink that in. But yes, anyway, he couldn't join us. He's so cute, he is. But
he's too important.
Too important to
He's very difficult to schedule with. What happened was we were planning out sessions, and he was like, "You want me to come in both days? I don't do that." And we were like, "I guess we'll run it back last year because that's what we did last year."
Meanwhile, you're literally doing 2 sessions at the same time at that point. So
I mean, how do I look? Do I look settled?
I think you're ready. Thanks. I think we're ready.
Thanks, Rachel. Love you. Okay. We only have 25 minutes.
Yep.
I don't know how on earth. We shipped the what's new. We shipped the blog. We shipped Aspire 13 today. The what's new is like 2,000 lines of markdown.
Yes.
So I don't know how we're supposed to get all of it.
Well, let alone it's been a year since the last .NET Conf, and I think we've shipped 47 versions of Aspire in that time. So there's lots of stuff to catch people up on. Let's focus on the new version.
Let's do some fun stuff. Hopefully my slides are up, and if so, I would love to put those on. Quickly, we would like to explain to you what Aspire is, which is still probably the #1 question we get.
So what is Aspire, Maddie?
What is Aspire? Aspire is...
What isn't Aspire?
What isn't Aspire? The way that we started to talk about it that actually seems to resonate is by not what it is, but what it actually solves for you.
Right.
Because Aspire really is a lot of things. It's now we have a CLI, we have an extension. It's this app host file or project or whatever. It is a deployment pipeline step thing, which we will look at. There's a lot, but what Aspire is a thing that helps you get over a lot of the complexity that comes with development and deployment for modern applications. And I don't mean modern in terms of like whatever UI stack you want to say that is or whatever. I mean like an app that we would build today. So it's got some kind of service or maybe a container, or it's got a database or a cache, or maybe it's got many microservices. Maybe it's still monolithic, but there's some modularity to it because it has to scale. It doesn't matter what you're building, right? It's complicated. You can't just clone and run anymore. And Aspire makes it way more feasible. And the more time you put into the Aspirification of your app, the more clone and runnable it gets, right? And then the more deployable and reproducible, et cetera.
The way I like to explain it is that all the things that you said are just true. But then there's also, think about, you use your editor and your IDE and your like CLI tool chain as part of a developer, and then you have your actual source code, your actual application. And then there's all this stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how do I bridge? So like maybe I use VS Code or I use VS and I write my C# and I write my JavaScript. But what about everything in the middle? Like I don't readily as a developer sit down and start thinking about how am I going to extend Visual Studio Code today for my app, or extend Visual Studio for my app. And, Mads might do that, but I don't do that. But Aspire isn't just about the things that you said. I think you may have mentioned it. It's extensible as well. Like you write it in the same language that you write your application often. And so one of the really big powerful things that I get from Aspire is that I can invent my own stuff inside of it to make my developer experience that much nicer.
Yeah, I believe when we drag Fowler out of bed tomorrow
we're going to deep dive into that. How do we extend Aspire for our needs? Yeah.
So this is the latest one-liner for those of you following along at home. Damien and I and Fowler and the whole team have spent a long time arguing over the right words to put on a slide. Right now, it is Aspire is the tool for code first, extensible, observable, dev, and deploy, which I actually think is the closest we've gotten.
It's good.
To a one-liner.
And it kind of fits the pyramid.
It does. Look at that visual symmetry. Oh, wow. We took out a lot of the words that confuse people, like cloud native. Nobody knows what that means. I don't know what that means. We put in tool. Some people say tool chain, some say platform. Tool fit best on the slide, and that's the word we're going with. And the anatomy of an Aspire app, we saw a little bit in the keynote, but it's the same as it always has been. It's the app host and now the CLI, which actually is new since last .NET Conf, but we announced it built. So if you want a purely Aspire command line experience, we have that for you. We have the integrations, which are just NuGet packages. They're just C# packages that you use to extend or customize the either launching or deployment of your app. And we have the dashboard, which Dan just showed a lot of in the previous session. It's a Blazor dashboard, of course, where you can see the whole stack running in one place. So if I spent 45 minutes describing Aspire, first of all, I could. Second of all, it wouldn't actually be that useful. We're just going to get right into the demo.
Awesome.
Of Aspire 13.
Nice kitty cat.
Thank you so much. I was very proud of that. Cat in a hat.
It is a cat in a hat.
It is a cat in a hat, right? Okay. Oh, you can see me trying to clear my things. And then when you plug it in, it resets your zoom.
Nice.
All right, let me see this actually one more time. And then re-clear. Okay. Like I said, there is a Aspire command line. You can install it. It's curlable now. It's also installable as a .NET tool, but the curl version is native AOT. We'll get the .NET tool one probably up to native AOT now that .NET 10 is shipped, but there's too much before shipping. You all know how it goes. If you run the previews, you know how it goes trying to sync the things. Anyways, we have a new command in the CLI, which is Aspire update self. Aspire update was 9.5, brings all your Aspire integrations up to date because we run on the latest on the Aspire team. Self now also updates the CLI itself, so you do not have to remember the command to install the CLI.
Fancy.
This was another naming argument. We were like, why doesn't Aspire update just do it? And Damien was like, I can't just update myself every time you update anything. That's crazy.
Too much updating.
Too much updating.
Yeah.
So now we have self. I'm going to do it right now. It's kind of crazy.
That's dangerous.
It's really dangerous.
It's quick though.
It was actually pretty quick.
Okay.
Now I'm kind of scared. And Aspire 13 has a new template.
Ooh.
So we super streamlined the templates we had. We were showing you all the test projects and everything here too. We decided the two main scenarios we see when people walk up to a repo and they want to, try a new Aspire app is Blazor and Minimal API, kind of the standard one we've had since the beginning. And then this new one, which is Vite. So it's a JavaScript React front end, and it's a Python Fast API backend. And so we give you both of these because although they're very similar, they're showing two different languages and two different paradigms, and it's actually really easy to pluck the Blazor off of one and pluck the Fast API off the other and combine them, etc. So it's just samples within the CLI without being too overwhelming.
And this isn't the be all and end all. Like we will enhance this Aspire new experience over time. You mentioned the .NET centric unit test project templates aren't there anymore, but we will figure out how to bring them back into the CLI experience in a way that feels more natural with the Aspire CLI's more polyglot kind of nature. If you're in Visual Studio, those templates are still there. They haven't gone anywhere. It's just the Aspire new experience we want to be curated. Curated for like the wide audience that we're kind of going for. So.
And I already immediately screwed up. As we mentioned this morning, we've rebranded. We've rebranded. And also, as many of you have probably noticed throughout the stream, like we keep tripping up and saying like .NET Aspire. Aspire, just Aspire.
It's okay.
And it's so funny because I worked on the Xamarin Demaui thing and like it took me forever to stop saying Xamarin.
If we're going to do anywhere, .NET Conf is a perfectly fine place for us to keep saying that.
So I'm going to rename that. I'm going to say Aspire for .NET, which is the way that we talk about it now. And so 13, use dev localhost URLs, new feature. Damien will talk about it. Use a Redis cache, sure. Would you like fries with that? Nope. And then it will create my new project. So I'm going to make that one, and I'm also going to make the Polyglot one as well. So Polyglot meaning multiple languages, right? Polyglot, output path, there we go. Use my dev localhost, use the cache. Great, nice. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to VS Code, and...
What's that?
Gasp, an extension. We have a new Aspire extension.
So no matter where you are, basically Aspire is going to show up is the current plan.
Yeah, we're just Aspirifying everything, which is the official verb, by the way. Also, terrifyingly, last updated 26 minutes ago. So that's fine.
Awesome.
I was sitting in that room, so who knows? But here I have my two new projects. Let's look at them just to look at the difference quickly. We have the Aspire for .NET one, which is the standard template we've had this whole time. It's got a solution file in there. It's got the app host as a project. It's got the API service, etc. And then I have this Polyglot template. And this is using file-based apps. So a single file app.
The way you roll that off your tongue now, like just so smoothly, file-based apps.
I think you
had not even a joke anymore.
Spent probably 6 months correcting me.
I know.
And now I'm too good. I'm too powerful. This is using new JavaScript and new Python APIs. So we had a ton of feedback from folks, especially like .NET folks who use and mix and match. Like nobody calls it an NPM app.
No.
And so we changed it. We just called it Add JavaScript app. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It took us quite a lot of going back and forward actually to come up with that name. So.
Yep. And we also had a bunch of folks from the Python team, Anthony Shaw too, and just a whole bunch of people help us revamp all the Python ones. So now we brought up a bunch of things from our community toolkit. The Unicorn extensions, the Vite extensions, those things are now in the box with the Aspire JavaScript and Python packages top level. So
And enhanced with new features as
Yes.
well. So we didn't just bring them over.
Enhanced.
Yeah, like what do we got? Like the new Docker file stuff that's implicit in
Oh,
these
yeah.
as well. Yeah.
and with npm or whatever install true will automatically run npm install for you,
Love it.
which is the first thing I forget to do when I clone a repo.
Absolutely.
Likewise with UV. So lots of stuff going on here. I'm just going to Aspire run. Let's pick the Polyglot one because we're feeling a little spicy this .NET Conf. Me sitting at the desk at .NET Conf showing a JavaScript and Python app orchestrated by a C# file.
first.
Yeah.
And then C# organizes your Python, organizes your TypeScript.
Kind of baller.
It's nice.
It's pretty cool. I also if you told me this was C# 5 years ago, I would be like, what are you talking about? That doesn't look like C#.
I know.
What is
We keep trying to improve things. We keep trying to simplify where we can, when it makes sense to. Like, we're not doing simplification for the sake of doing simplification. Like, we feel like we're not.
Yeah.
We're trying to do it with intent and with purpose. And I think here is a really good use case where the apps I'm actually orchestrating with Aspire here are not .NET apps, but I'm using C# to describe how my app should fit together. And I'm using NuGet to bring those integrations in. So
Exactly. It's amazing. And so you can see everything started up here. This is the same old Aspire dashboard we've had. We have these new icons though.
Ooh.
Hi, JS, and C# is C#.
Very nice.
There's a whole bunch of other things I could show. I'm not going to show. One of them is, of course, add C# app, which is how you get a single file C# app now instead of add project. So I could do my API.cs. If I had 3 hours, I would do all of these things. Yeah, lots. While I'm here, before I switch to Damien, I also will show my favorite feature of the extension, which is if you have C# dev kit and the Python extension installed, watch default app host. I don't know which app host. Oh, Polyglot. It is actually able to run the debugger multiple times in VS Code. So it's going to debug the app host and any other C# or .NET projects I have in my app, right? Because that's the normal C# dev kit debugger. It's also going to debug the Python.
Oh. So
it's able to say that, oh, this is a Python app, and I know you have the Python extension. So it's going to take, access. Takes a few seconds, spins up the app host. Then the app host spins up the Unicorn app, and VS Code knows that there's a Python app running now. And apparently I changed my Python interpreter, but it knows enough to go ask it.
Nice.
That's okay. Don't show again. I don't care. And then debug it. So the extension's pre-release. It's awesome. Keep trying it. We're going to add JavaScript support for this soon too.
Cool.
So ideally you can F5 all 3 languages and 3 debuggers at once.
Nice.
Kind of bananas.
This is kind of cool. So Aspire Polyglot is more than just having a template. It's more than just having C# and hosting integration APIs to add a JavaScript app or add a Python app. Because we have a VS Code extension, we can be more of that glue that I talked about before. We can fill in more of that space. We go, oh yeah, you're going to launch Python, you're going to launch JavaScript and C#. We'll get all the debuggers.
And you too can screw up your Python interpreter, which I do at least twice a day. So
nice.
All right, Damien, I'm going to flip over to you for a little bit because you've done a lot. You've been busy.
A couple of things I want to talk about today. That is my screen. Excellent. So Maddie briefly mentioned support for something called dev localhost URL. So this is actually a .NET 10 feature. We did the work in ASP.NET Core 10 to add support for more custom URLs during the inner dev loop. So rather than everything being localhost and you create your new Blazor app or you create your new ASP.NET Core app and you F5 them, they're all localhost some port. If you're running more than one, which is common in an Aspire application, because you might have a front end and a back end, they're all localhost and you have to remember the ports. Wouldn't it be nice if I could use different URLs? So I'm just going to show you how that really works. So I didn't create this. This is an Aspire starter app, the .NET version. I haven't selected dev localhost URLs. I'm just going to add it retrospectively. I'm just going to go into my launch settings.json, otherwise known as your launch profile file, and I'm just going to add URL in here. So I'm going to say devtunnels.dev.localhost, and I'll do the same over here for the non-HTTPS version. And if I wanted to, I could go and also update my HTTP profile to match. So I'll say devtunnels.dev.localhost. Now, we have done a few things to make this happen. What happens here is now Kestrel understands that if it's star.localhost, then that's still the loopback. I'm still talking to just this machine, so don't start listening on, say, external IP addresses. The other thing that we did was we updated the ASP.NET Core dev certificate so that it will successfully terminate and validate for star.dev.localhost URLs. So the reason it's not just star.localhost is you can't give a wildcard certificate to a top-level domain. You can't have wildcard top-level domain. And so you can see now that down here it says that the dashboard is running at devtunnels.dev.localhost. So I can go ahead and click on that. And sure enough, here I am running at devtunnels.dev.localhost instead of just localhost. So the ports are still there. But now I've got a full domain name that's a little more expressive, and I can obviously customize that and make it whatever .dev that I want to, depending on what my project is. Now I'm running 2 apps here because this is the starter app, as I said, so I have my web front end and my back end, and you'll note that those URLs, if I zoom in a little bit there, those URLs are also getting customized based on the app host URL. So I've got my API service -devtunnels.dev.localhost, and I've got web front end -devtunnels.dev.localhost. Okay, so that's just a little quality of life improvement that you can now utilize. Unfortunately, if you're using Safari on the Mac, it is the only one of all the browsers that does not treat anything .localhost as a local loopback, and so it doesn't work very well on Safari, but it works really well in all the other browsers.
Why is the web like this?
Well, you should have been here 20 years ago.
No, it's okay.
All right, so why did I call this dev tunnel? So the other thing that I wanted to show you today was we added support in Aspire for dev tunnels. So dev tunnels is a hosted service that's been available from Microsoft/Azure for a while now. And there's, it's what CodeSpaces uses under the covers. Visual Studio has had support for it and Visual Studio Code, but we've now built in support to Aspire for doing that. So I'm going to update my project here to use dev tunnel. So I'm going to do Aspire add, and I'm going to say dev tunnel. And then I'm going to say, yeah, I just want to use the preview version that's on NuGet.org. The DevTunnels package is still preview, so that's why that one's still preview. So now I've added that to my project. I can go ahead and start modeling a dev tunnel directly inside my Aspire app host project. So I'm going to say builder.add dev tunnel, and I'll give it a name of dev tunnel. Sounds pretty straightforward. And then I need to add references to the resources that I want to expose via the dev tunnel. So like, what is a dev tunnel? Why do I keep saying dev tunnel? Dev tunnel.
Dev tunnel.
A dev tunnel is a way for me to make the local resources running on my machine, local HTTP services available outside of my machine via a public stable URL. And so if I wanted to say, give you access to it so that you could look at something running on my machine if you're not directly physically here, or if I was building something like a plugin for some service externally, like a webhook, and it's something that's running in the cloud somewhere, but I wanted to call back and run code on my machine via HTTP, a dev tunnel is fantastic for doing that. So I'm going to say with reference, and I'm going to reference my web front end. That's the one I want to expose here. And it's really as straightforward as that. That's all I have to do now in order to get a dev tunnel running locally. So I'll run this again, and then what we'll see in the dashboard is I've got more resources showing up, and we'll kind of see that dev tunnel start up and expose my application. So let me go ahead and launch it again. Okay, so now we've got this dev tunnel resource up here. We can see that because I added the web front end, it automatically discovered the 2 endpoints on that resource, HTTP and HTTPS, and it's now working through the process of creating that dev tunnel in the cloud service, and then starting that dev tunnel. And then once it goes healthy, that verifies that both of these endpoints are now actually available. Once that occurs, we'll see the URLs that were assigned to my dev tunnel show up in the dashboard here. And those are what I can use to hand that URL off to you so that you could browse it even on your machine. Or I could put that into my identity server configuration or Entra configuration if I'm using that type of authentication. Or if I'm using
Entra.
I said Entra.
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 Endra?
Endra.
Sorry, carry on.
Okay, so now I've got these URLs available to me. And so you can see that the dashboard has been populated with the URLs that were assigned to this dev tunnel that I created with Aspire. I can go ahead and click on them. And I'm now not going localhost. I'm literally going out to the cloud. You might have seen there, it actually authenticated me. So dev tunnels are authenticated by default. So it automatically logged me in because I probably already had the cookie. But this is locked down to me right now. I haven't made it available to anyone else. And then the last thing that happens is the dev tunnel says, hey, by the way, you're about to go to this site via this URL. Are you sure you wanted to do that? This is like an anti-phishing kind of measure that the dev tunnel service does. So then if I hit continue, I'm now looking at this site running locally, but through a public URL, which is kind of cool, right?
It's pretty cool.
So the last thing you can do is that if you do want to make this available to more than just yourself, you can say with anonymous access, be warned, but now that actually makes that dev tunnel available to anyone who has the URL, okay, which is kind of cool. And so if you were doing a scenario where that's kind of useful for you, or you need to test it from another machine that you can't authenticate from for whatever reason, you can make it available anonymously, and then you could remove it.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go.
That's pretty cool.
Dev tunnel's now available.
I'm so excited. That was fast. I was like, all I need is for Damien to leave me 2 minutes. You left me like 4.5.
Oh,
this
perfect.
is huge news. Thank you. We're going to switch back to my machine, and we're going to talk about everybody's new favorite Aspire CLI command, Aspire do the thing.
Oh, all right. Nice.
So the past year, we've really started investing more in the deployment story, right? Last year, we had the built-in AZD and init AZD up. And so you could use AZD to deploy your Aspirified app to Azure Container Apps. AZD team has been so helpful and so good at keeping up as we keep changing our minds on how everything works. So shout out AZD team, Azure Developer CLI. What we have heard from a lot of our customers is that deployment needs to be more flexible. Like, people don't really want to just run one command and see what happens. People want to hook things into their workflows. People want to run them as a mock locally or set them to different environments, etc. And so after a lot of back and forth and kind of experimentation with Aspire Publish and Aspire Deploy, we decided Publish and Deploy was a little bit too
Chunky?
Yeah, I like that. And so we decided we could just let you define steps. And now we have this thing called, Zoom, Aspire Do, the thing, whatever you want. Also known as Aspire Please.
Aspire Please?
Yeah,
we should
Aspire
have an
Please.
alias. PLS?
PLS.
Nice.
And so now I can still do Aspire Publish or Aspire Deploy as I would have before, but under the hood, they're running Aspire Do Publish and Aspire Do Deploy because they're looking for those steps. And so I just changed folders while you were talking into my .NET version. And I'm going to run Aspire Deploy here because .NET has all the built-in containerization tools, so I don't actually have to deal with Docker if I do it in the .NET one, which is very
understood.
nice.
Got it. Yes.
And you can see it saying execute step deploy. Oh, that was way too fast. Oh, I know why, because I didn't add my container apps environment.
Oh,
so I'm going to do Aspire add, which just adds Aspire integrations. It's really a wrapper around NuGet for our .NET friends.
So now we're going beyond just modeling my apps. We're actually modeling where I want to deploy to.
Exactly.
So in this case, we're adding what we call a compute environment, which is a place where compute runs. Compute are containers or your .NET projects or your Python apps or whatever it might be.
Yep.
And you're adding Azure Container Apps, which satisfies that compute environment requirement.
And telephone's turned off. Oh, nice. Did it add to my app host? Am I in the wrong Aspirified thing? Hold on. Yeah.
If I could see the screen, I would offer my help, but it's too far
That's okay.
away.
I'm in the wrong app host. So what I can do actually is I can delete this settings JSON file.
Yep.
So the way that we store your app host is we put it in a file in your repo, which means that anyone who clones it can have the same Aspirification setup. So let me do that again.
If you have multiple app hosts, you can have multiple settings files deeper inside your repo.
Yes.
But by default, it'll kind of like,
There we go.
yeah, if you run it from the root, it's going to put it in the root.
That's the right one. That should have Aspire added it. It doesn't look like it did. One more try. Aspire add, please. Aspire please. Oh my goodness. Close everything, reopen everything. How am I doing on time? 1 minute? Nailed it. Quick fix. Okay, I actually have this somewhere else. I don't remember which window I put it in, but reload. And then, I mean, I guess I could use the extension too. There's a lot of different
Is it
ways.
working now? The color's
Oh,
changed.
the
when you
color
reload it.
changed. Ooh, but it doesn't. Oh yeah, wait. I'm looking for a single file package
Oh,
and it's not. Anyways, I can do Aspire Deploy. Magic. And so this is going to build, and then it's going to start executing steps. And so what this package brings in, I was looking for package : I was like, why is it adding my package? Because I'm using a .NET project because I'm an adult. What this Azure Container Apps environment NuGet package brings in is a set of steps that you can see fly by quickly here in the terminal. And so the steps include fetching my Azure subscription and my tenant, my regions, my API service, building the things, making sure that the prerequisites are
prereq.
prereqs, yes. And so we're obviously not going to wait for it to deploy. I'm going to pull up the deployed one here, and it will go and actually do all of that for me.
So
and
a key aspect of this we want to hit before we finish, though, is that this isn't just Azure. Like the whole point of this being Aspire do X, Aspire do Y, is that you can plug in, you can write C#, you can write your own integrations to target deploying any way you like. Now, for example, we have support for Docker Compose, also out of the box. We are updating our Kubernetes deployment support to support this as well, and we fully expect and encourage the ecosystem to add support for deploying to anything. I think Fowler actually wrote one that deploys via SSH to a Linux VM. So you can literally just deploy to anything by writing a little bit of code. Think of this as your new generic deployment pipeline or like run things pipeline, but it's integrated with Aspire.
Yep. And so any of these steps, you can build, you can customize, and you can plug them in the order that makes sense for you in your CI or et cetera.
Right.
So anyways, I'm not even going to try and click back into this. I'm just going to show you. Aspire.dev. We have a website. Ooh. It's very exciting. We love it. We have a blog, we have a whole bunch of things. We have a Discord, which is a very good time. So come join us there. Share how you're using Aspire. If you have an app you want to Aspirify, let us know. We can get you on one of our Aspire Friday streams. It's always a good time.
Come and embrace the chaos.
Yep. And so join us for the rest of the Aspire sessions this week. There's the ones with the rest of us. There's ones with the community. Aspire.
Check it out if you haven't already.
Thanks.